So the original concept behind the Gig Culture project was to do with South Tyneside's music history. A lot of really huge artists had come to perform. We had the likes of Jimi Hendrix, we had Cream, we had Tom Jones, we had some really world-class performers. And on top of that, there was quite a lively local live music scene, which I think it's fair to say has faded a little bit in more recent years. And so what we wanted to do was sort of investigate that past a little bit from the people who were there and who remember it, and gather their stories and experiences of it.
Lovely women, nice beer and good music, that's a good night. You know what I mean? It's like, and I'm sure for lasses it used to be the same.
There's not much I remember. Hey, I was another person. All I can remember is dancing and getting chatted up and having a good drink.
And as well as that, we really wanted to enliven it again, I suppose. And by that, I mean, we wanted to make sure that there were talented musicians who were able to play in the region, find an audience in the region and be successful in the region, and, you know, try and sort of rekindle that sense of community and pride in the talent that we have here. Because there is a lot of talent, and I think the Gig Culture project so far has really shown that the young musicians in South Tyneside are incredibly talented and have a lot of potential to be really successful in the region and beyond.
Well, I saw it advertised through social media, and then also one of my teachers at school sort of recommended it to us and said, oh, you know, maybe you should go along to this, it could be fun. And I thought, why not, you know, grab the opportunity.
Well, I told the others because I saw an ad for it in the newspaper.
It's been super fun, you know. I've loved meeting everyone and working with everyone and learning new things, you know. It's great.
It's just like coming here every single week and practicing as bands really, really upgraded our level of skill as a band, and it's really got us to figure out who we are.
I think it's been the trajectory that they've all kind of taken from those first sessions where they were given kind of different stimuli, so a photograph or a sound recording to work from, and seeing how they kind of collaboratively moved from that kind of, here's a germ of an idea, how do we turn that into something tangible, and seeing how some of them took it very literally. So a photo of somebody leaning on a pub would become a lyric about that, or some of them took it much more kind of introspectively, and seeing how they all started to collaborate their ideas. And for a lot of young people as well, this is the first time they probably work collaboratively in a creative sense. So seeing them kind of navigate those waters has been really beautiful, to the extent that now we go in the room and say, hey guys, can I help? And they're like, nope, all good. We're not really required so much. They've shaped their own direction and they know what they want and where they're going, and that's been really beautiful to see.
The project originally was about gathering the memories of people who experienced some of the high-profile gigs, I suppose, and remember the sort of the heyday of South Tyneside's music scene. We wanted to gather those stories, and the idea was to recruit a group of young musicians aged 14 to 25, give them those stories and some of images from the time, some archive images, and they were going to use those as inspiration for the creation of some new music.
I saw Roger Chapman at the Cellar Club. It used to be in Family and Streetwalkers. So I saw him half a dozen times there, but he's been there a lot more than that. You know.
Everybody in the club knew everybody.
Oh, it was like a family, big extended
family. It was just
family.
small, wasn't it? It wasn't too big, you know.
Small,
always small.
Or something. Well, I seen Cream there. I seen Cream when they opened it. They opened the cellar there. I didn't see Jimi Hendrix in the Cellar Club, but I seen him outside. I got banned, you see, because I was only 17 at the time. Jimi Hendrix was on in the February of the year that I was going to become 18. But I'd gotten a ticket for Jimi Hendrix, and on New Year's Eve, me and my friends went to the cellar, but we ended up at the Bay, and then we ended up somewhere in Sunderland. Well, 17-year-old, you know, we just, let's say we dust down somewhere. but were there for 3 days. Well, my mum and dad didn't know anything about it. They didn't know where I was. Well, no phones in them days. You couldn't ring your parents up. So anyway, it ended up where I returned home. But in the meantime, my mother and father had informed the police. So when I turned up, they had to ring the police up to tell them I was home. They came and slapped my hand because I had been somewhere where I shouldn't have been anyway, 17-year-old. So it turned out, a couple of nights later, after my mum and dad had calmed down a little bit and let us out again, I went back to the cellar club, but they wouldn't let us in there because they knew I was 17. So I couldn't get in to see Jimi Hendrix. But on the night that he appeared, me and my friend were standing outside to listen to them, because you'd obviously hear them. There used to be a cafe across the road, the 1A cafe or the A1, I can't remember which way around it was. We were standing and who should come walking out, the A1 cafe first, but Chas Chandler, followed by Jimi Hendrix and his 2 bandmates. Jimi Hendrix was fantastic. Hey man, you're all full of it. But his 2 bandmates, I didn't want to know. So that was my experience of Jimi Hendrix.
When I was 16, I was a floor waitress in what we called the Hippie Headworth. It's the Golden Slipper Club. They used to have bands on every Saturday and Sunday, and the bands all came, say Deep Purple, if they were playing at City Hall, they came back. Paul Thompson, who's from Jarrow, really early on, I mean, he had really long hair. I remember vividly, I've got this vision of him standing there watching the band eating a banana. And even then I thought, well, what a healthy option. How much better than a snake bite?
The group I used to see, the one with John Miles, was at the Headworth, Pineapple Head. They appeared in the Headworth.
I used to go to the Headworth, the Golden Slipper Club, or the Yellow Welly as it was commonly called. What did they call the guy who ran it? He used to be a little dapper guy in a suit and a pencil moustache. He used to be the owner, but he used to walk around like the manager on a Saturday night. Alfie Josephs. I knew it would come. He used to be the manager, well, at least we think he was. He was always there supervising within the Headworth.
It's evolved in a sense. The idea was it would be an intergenerational project. But what we quickly found was that the young musicians have a particular style of music that they want to play, and it can be quite heavy and it can be quite loud. And some of the people who... and that might not be the kind of music that the people who donated their stories are that interested in hearing, I suppose. So in that sense, there was a little bit of a disconnect between the generations, which is something that we did want to really focus on with this project. But what that's meant is that the young people have really found their own voice, being inspired and given prompts and inspiration from more mature generations. They've really taken them on as their own and created their own sounds and their own music. And I suppose the project has sort of developed into developing those young people and helping them to find pride in their region, in their community, and to really put forward their musical talents and songwriting skills. I think that's worked really well. I think from the music that you'll hear, you can see that there's real craft, real artistry, real skill in the young musicians, in the work that they've produced. And yeah, I think that's a real highlight of the project, to be honest. Seeing them perform live on stage, seeing how they've developed and grown as artists, as musicians over the course of the project, and seeing how they've learned more about the music history of the region, and really it feels like they've been given sort of a sense of hope, that being from South Tyneside and working and learning in South Tyneside has been and can be again a great asset to them.
You've got to understand the folk clubs were a great place for young people to meet. So we were quite forward thinking about having a folk club at school, you know, so, and being allowed to express yourself. So quite a wide range of instruments. Some people were singing their own songs about the half-day closing day on the remnant sale, remnant day of my id, kind of things that 15-year-old boys, you know, write about, you know. Lots of songs about crying in the rain, but because you've left me, but nobody could notice for the raindrops were streaming down my cheeks, you know, these kind of things. But the fact that people were writing songs and having the absolute balls to sing them in front of, because it was a boys' school, having the balls to sing them in front of a load of other boys, you know, this was like unheard of in the Geordie machismo culture of like, I'm not going to tell you how I feel kind of thing.
It started in school, in the music department, would all meet each other and started to practice covers for about a year and a bit or so, 2 years, yeah. When I first got here, we wrote our first proper song, Battle of the Booze.
What was the prompt for that one?
Oh, it was
a bar fight, I believe it was.
Yeah, I think it was a bar fight.
Yes,
the story.
The stars that came there were incredible. Some of the top stars.
Yes,
I was saying that the safe was under the floorboards in the ladies' toilet.
I didn't know about that.
I can't believe the size of it when it was pulled down. It was just a little bit, because it was a huge place. There was the gambling upstairs, the roulette, I worked behind the bar upstairs, well, all the gambling was, and I did run on the tables later.
The restorer the house organist and the orchestra was him up floated down.
Was it? The thing is, if you go, like the customs house, you go past that corner now, see how small it was. It wasn't very big at all.
No.
The Lestrada, the claggy mat, it was minging. Inside you thought it was massive. My sister had her wedding reception there.
I used to get down to Rupert's, as well as the Chelsea Cats, but the Rupert's, I used to go down there, and I saw John Miles there, and he's singing "The Music Was My First Love," and that was before it was a hit.
That was
I
really
remember
good.
to Rupert's in Ocean Road. We had to go down the flight of stairs to get in.
Rupert's.
It used to be called Roxanne's. I don't know what it's called now, but it was kind of like that area, and there was some construction going on. And I thought, oh, work in progress.
There was the Latino, then it was Buddies, then it was something else.
The Latino, I think, was the tavern, but I used to go there a lot with my husband because we lived so close. I used to see all the top groups of the time. Dave, Dee, Dozy, Mickey, McIntitch. The Tremolos were there. I didn't particularly like them. I waited with friends who wanted to get their autograph, and they literally pushed the fans aside, didn't want to know. I met Jerry Marsden, Jerry and the Pacemakers. I've got his autograph. The Hollies, the Searchers. Oh, there's so many famous ones. Really, really top groups of the 60s. Yeah, really good.
Yeah. When my brother, Alan Caffrey, was a bit of a jack the lad round Shields at that time, and he used to work the doors in the clubs, and he was working on the tavern around about the 66, 67, 68, and Tom Jones was performing there one night, and when he'd finished his turn, Tom's lift never turned up, and he had to get the train connection from Newcastle to get back to London. So Stan Henry, who owned the club, asked anybody who had a driving licence to take him back to Newcastle, and my brother, who was in the TA, had his driving licence, volunteered, so Stan Henry gave our Alan his Jag to take Tom up to Central Station. He says, Alan drove up and they were chatting away all the way up. And says, when they got Tom started to get out the car, he turned around and he slipped what Alan 20 quid, which was a lot of money in them days. You know? And our Alan's always talked about that all his life.
The tavern was a nightclub on Crossgate in South Shields. Generally opened about 7 o'clock till 10, you're going free. Once it turned 10 o'clock, all the men had to pay, the women still going free. Yeah, that was that. That's typical. So, it stayed open until 2 and 3 o'clock in the morning. Mondays was stripper armour night. They would have 11 strippers on, 3 and 4 at a time, on one stage. All the lads used to be goggle-eyed. I used to be off in the hurdy-gurdy. Totally wasn't interested. The hurdy-gurdy was the place where we danced. It was like a separate room that was an open part of the venue. You had the main stage, you had the bar area, and that led you straight through to where the hurdy-gurdy was, the dancing area. And in there, they had what do you call it in the wall, a window in the wall, where they served hot dogs and hamburgers. So you had your hot dogs and hamburgers inside the nightclub while you were drinking your pint. And they had the machines on, which were what the butler saw, the hand crank machines. So you put a 5p piece in, or a shilling, and you hand cranked it and you got to see what the butler saw. Besides that, it was just a case of enjoying the music, watching the ladies dancing around the handbags, and if you were gay, you tended to hang around inside the hurdy-gurdy because that's where most of the gay people hung around. So that was that part. That's why it was. That's why it attracted me so much. But yeah, we spent many a happy night in there. Lots of fun. We'd start off in the bars. We'd come out of work, go home, have a tea. Then it was into the middle club, then the top club. We'd go to the Unionists, the Veterans Social Club. We'd have a few pints, different places, but we always ended up back in the tavern every night. Friday, Saturday, Sunday night. Monday nights, well, I'm not too sure. That wasn't quite my scene, but if the lads wanted to go, I'd follow them along there. And
I used to go to the tavern, and I saw Stu Waddy there before they were famous, and 2 comedians who everybody now knew was Little and Lodge. Saw them there, they were hilarious.
I remember going to the Latino on a Sunday lunchtime. We'll come out of church. There used to be a couple of lads in church and they said, we are going to the Latino, do you want to come? And I asked me mum, is it all right to go with Tom, Dick and Harry? And she said, yes, as long as they bring you home. And I went, and it was all men. Strippers. It was strippers on a Sunday lunchtime. And I sat with me back to the stage because I was like mortified. And of course she came over and she was doing all the jiggle behind me back. The lads were laughing their heads off. I told me mum. And next week she went over and told them off inside the church.
This picture in front of me of the alligators, there is that terrible joke of somebody's been making allegations about the club secretary, and if we find the alligators, we're going to punch them, kind of thing. Right. So, I mean, the fact that you've got here some pretty expensive, a tea chest base in the background. So that's like a tea chest with a broom handle on it and a thick string, like a piece. It was usually, I would say it was probably about a quarter of an inch thick.
Right. So
you would play that instrument. You can only see, I love the fact that he's drawn an alligator on it as well. And the soul amplification is what looks like a transistor radio at the front of the stage. Probably it might well have had nearly 5 watts of power, which is nothing. Right. I mean, the Beatles played Shea Stadium with 50-watt amplifiers, but I mean that would be paid through the and that was regarded as very loud. But round-topped Hofner guitars, that's quite an expensive guitar. But on the right-hand side of the picture, you've got this very tall, smiling banjo player. Now, the banjo that he's got, or the washboard as well, the banjo that he's got is called a zither banjo, which is really, really old, before the 5-string banjo where there's a little string halfway down the neck. This is probably at least 80 to 100 years old. Wow. Because the 6th string, it actually runs down the neck and appears halfway down the neck from it. So it's a very particular kind of instrument. So that's quite a mixture.
The legacy of the project, I mean, in an ideal world, the bands and the musicians that have gone through this process, I really hope that they're then able to start putting on their own gigs, they're able to start building up audiences again and creating a bit more of a grassroots music scene in South Tyneside that is fun and exciting and new and can draw the interest of people from maybe outside of the region, or and sort of allow South Tyneside, that's wedged in between two sort of musical powerhouses in Sunderland, which has just become a music city, and in Newcastle, where, you know, a lot of live music thrives, that it can stand on its own 2 feet, that South Tyneside can produce some brilliant musicians, and provide some fabulous live music experiences for the communities in the region, and for, you know, show that people don't have to go too far in order to have a great night out with live music and really experience that brilliant kind of entertainment, that night out and that community that comes from being part of an audience.
If I were to say something about it, I would say go big or go home. And I think that we are going quite well in that outside of gig culture. We are doing quite well off doing festivals and like gigs just all around.
I think I want to progress my instrumental skills. I have only recently picked up bass, so it would be nice to be like more proficient with that, and also try like writing my own bass lines. Because again, I'm not the greatest on bass, and I am very much just following Julia's instruction. But it's been fun, and I'm slowly but surely getting better at it. So
if they're wanting to progress as musicians, then this day and age, you need much more than just that musicianship. So I think what I would like to see, if you would ask us that, would be opportunities for progression for the bands. So, you know, do we task them with taking over the lineup on a cultural spring event, and they need to organise all the promo themselves, the sound themselves, give them more of that kind of event management expertise, and then through that they'll find out which ones naturally lean more towards stage management. And actually, I'm not that bothered about playing guitar anymore. I'd rather, you know, because they've walked in different shoes in the project, they might find it easier to, and then we're kind of helping them discover the different roles that exist in the music industry. That's what I think would be really cool.
Hey you, do you remember me and our Jack Daniels Tennessee? Honey, will you please? Hey you, do you remember me and our Jack Daniels Tennessee? Honey, will you please? Hey you, my heart has never stopped beating for you, the love I've lost. Honey, please love me.